too much. Like, what do we do with all this? We'll see how the zones end up closing out, but Thomas focus. It was a rough late game rotate. I'm glad to see the amount of damage they've got so far, though. Scavenging through Battlewood Boulevard. And again, kind of in a south side of the zone.
It's crazy that there's still some goodies left over. Even though Sky and Scroll, you know, that's their initial starting point, but makes sense. One duo can only carry so much. Thomas and Focus, they're really just trying to be wary. I'm certain that they're fully aware of that hill that Sky and Scroll like to take claims over, surge base on. And it's going to be difficult to avoid their line of sight, but where there's a will, there's a way. Vika Malabuka, ready to get going. Want to try and avoid any congestion wherever possible. Probably one of their healthiest surge metrics that we've seen so far here today, but Benign and Moneymaker could be a thorn in the side here if they actually choose to try and force this battle up against Malabuka and Vika. You never know what duos might be a little bit more desperate for some of that surge.
Yeah, this was the main duo I was talking about when I said, you know, EU Titans actually struggling with net surge. It was Malabuka Vico in the last match, and when you're 460 above, you do not want to risk getting tagged in these fights right now. They do not need it. So I'm glad that they're focusing on the rotate here. Syaz, Scary. It's about time for them to have a big match if they want to keep up the expectations going into today. I guess the performance that they had yesterday, expectations are a little mixed. 24 points so far. Let's see if they can get a big one.
Well, first, we got to see what Zany and Burke decide to do. They've been waiting things out. Thought for a moment that they were going to choose to pop out. Scary and Syaz rolled on by, but not the intentions, not just yet. Jan isn't cheating. Decent spot on the edge of zone. They're just trying to scope out, see if there's any teams. Even net it open a little bit too long, maybe that they can take advantage of, but at least for right now, we're gonna avoid most of the lobby focus.
Dark Team 281 above. We saw them get the 2 eliminations off spawn on Huddy Fishy. And they have a very good amount of mats, actually. If they can pull some zones here, this could be another very big match for them. If anyone's capable of a back-to-back win, it's going to be Shark and Teeny.
And when you compare, though, both sides of the zone, Kira, Karama just under so much duress right now. Pixie, Swizzy just going to take advantage of the circumstance. Big eliminations here for these two. Another one of our duos that they need every single point they can get. 25th. And we never said it was impossible for them to come back, but they are playing new life right now here today, Takada.
Yeah.
In this 9th lobby, this is where a lot of that willpower is truly going to be tested, because they can convert this into a great endgame finish, and it starts with just 1 more elimination, 4 more points added to the count. Every little bit just kind of sending a new little bit of revival into this duo. New hopes, too. They might actually just squeeze in for that land qual, and that we won't have to sit out our Major 1 Summit land. We'll have at least 1 out of 3 representatives from that global championship team.
From 47th place to 25th today, the issue is, despite these consistent performances, the job's not done. They need to continue having these matches every single game, but be careful, Teeny's actually been knocked if you look at the bottom left. What has gone wrong? Hopefully Shark here is able to pick him up, but it doesn't seem like anybody is actually pushing them.
Look, don't get me wrong, Shark and Teeny, they might have had a lot of materials, they might have had a decent amount of heals there, Takada, but their positioning was a little bit scuffed. They were kind of sandwiched between 2 separate teams, Haruko and Kira at one point. I believe when they made that initial rotation, they're kind of forced to shift towards lower elevation, now boxed up right next to Aza and Ifrozi. We've already seen Aza pop off once here today, so even contenders like Shark and Teeny, you've gotta be wary that where they actually want to duke things out. Tom is focused, 210 above. Probably one of the most favorable zones that they're going to get And now, Thomas, so confident in Boop Chat yesterday after the fact. Levin already highlighted it. Just give me zones, and I will show you a champion performance. We'll wait to see just how he intends on delivering. Might have to deal with iDrop and Medius nearby, though. But Thomas, focus, patient, scheming, that's for sure.
To be fair, this is one of the better kind of surge they've had. I'm hoping that Overdrive didn't go too wrong, but Sharktini, they are so good at getting refreshes when they need it most, but it was even a refresh onto Syaz and Scary, our now 5th place team. They are not having a fun day, but on the contrary, Sharktini, they're now back in business.
Yeah, that Spanish flame, unfortunately, seems like it's sort of sizzling out right now as Scroll, Sky, 343 above, taking shots back. The rest of the lobby sort of funneling in towards their direction. Won't be able to get the pre-dead just then onto Dinas and Fernek. Escape by directly underneath them, but when you are this set on Surge, you can still take your time, pick your moments when you want to strike next. Thomas, focus. Might be in a little bit of a stir here right now. Shakos nearby. They're going to drop their pizza box. Tom's going to carry some of those slices, but Focus definitely wanted to heal up a bit. Flowberry Mist Grenade too, and you have to remember, anytime these Flowberry and Mist Clouds are seen, teams on height, bound to start looking, trying applying pressure into those areas. Minori, he's not careful, he might get sandwiched in between Sharktini, Focus, Thomas, but so many teams collecting their own fair share of eliminations here, and Pablo making it look too easy. Werex, no idea what happened next there. The pre-edit just too powerful.
Pablo Chino, they've gotten top 10 in the last 2 matches, but it's still not enough when you're competing against Sky Scroll. It's just so difficult to push them out of the 1st place spot. You mentioned it, Taco. Thomas HD, Focus, said give us zones. We won't disappoint. Well, let's see it happen here as Sky and Scroll pick up an elimination. And now Focus on making it towards zone.
And with Sky Scroll applying that kind of pressure too, it puts out the warning signs for everybody else in the lobby. They start closing off their walls, they start boxing up, so that makes it feasible for them to just rotate so freely off that overdrive grenade. But look at the high ground. Swizzy, Pixie, they've actually managed to escalate themselves up. Cheat and Giannis, when it looked like it might be theirs for a moment, now they'll be forced to just sit in that secondary height position instead. But how much pressure can Swizzy and Pixie truly apply here? They've got their work cut out for them. Teeny, though, he's taking a tumble. Shark left as a solo here. Front side of zone at the very least, but still so much to deal with. So many other teams looking to try and cut him off along the way.
Repairs also got cracked now. Sure, trying to figure out which way he even wants to go. They are not grouped up here, but a refresh is going to come through. Focus, though, has to be on getting to zone. Thomas HD and Focus. Good synergy here. Both players looking healthy. Issue is running low on mats. They will need to pick up some eliminations shortly. Sky Scroll, though, still have good mats. But you got to be careful, Scroll, as he gets cracked. Is going to be able to group up, though. Pizza put down, and now should be able to heal.
But that forced halt, that temporary time lost, that could ultimately be the seconds that make the difference. Pullback gonna help Shark out just a little bit here. Stuck inside of his own wooden cone, waiting to see who he can actually try and close in on. Repairs. They had to work to get into their position in the first place on the leaderboard. And now it's looking like this lobby might be working against them. But Shark knock onto Pablo. Chino, he might just be able to see if he can turn this one around, but no, he'll have to abandon Pablo. Not going to be able to actually opt for that revive. Shark knows it's only a matter of time before the siphon comes into play for him. He's going to wrap around, take advantage of it, but you can tell already the storm sickness is a problem here right now for Shark. He can't afford to tank up any more ticks of zone. He's gonna have to hope that Volko doesn't realize on the other side of the wall. He still has no materials left to work with. Chino with another elimination though. 8 builds. Overdrive grenade effect. Only 1 left though for mobility. This is looking like a tough one to close out.
A lot of solos. Pablo was forced to clutch it out. In the last match now, it's all up to Chino. He's got 3 on the board, but it looks like he's going to have to rotate up a hill. Has to break through build. It's getting a little messy. Down below, will he be able to find a way out and even find an elimination alongside it? Sky, we've seen your solo clutch potential. You now have another shot to do it.
just lurking around. He is going to find a big shot that's going to connect. All of those goodies in ultimate low here. It's familiar territory, but look at Swizzy and Pixie. We knew they needed to have a monumental day here, and they are making sure to do everything in their power to find it. Malabuka, Vico, also another team looking to try and see if they can pick off Sky. Pressure from above, pressure from below, and Sky Scroll, they are out of this one, but Cheat. All these pre-existing builds, front side for now, hoping that he can stay concealed away from the team on height. But you never know, the moment that he drops, ultimate low, currently controlled, Vico and Malabuka are the ones looking to try and cut some players off here. Vico with that mythic chaos too. Swizzy, Pixie, they're just trying to keep their distance for the time being. But Volko, Cringe, they're gonna head straight into where Vico Mally just dropped into, but Vico gets the better end of the exchange. Both Cringe so incredibly low, they're not gonna be able to withstand the pressure here. Mally and Vico with just another extension of builds and materials to work with.
This is the first match today that Vico and Malabuka have gotten into top 10, and they are not disappointing. Chino with a big shot connecting as well. 12 HP is all that's left. He's going to be forced to drop down. Issue is, the team up above, they're going to capitalize on that. It might be just up to Swizzy. Pixie is out of shield. He's out of HP, but we've got our global champion. Show us what it takes. It might just be 6 pizza slices. Malabuka, are you going to be able to out-heal it?
It's the vending machine. That's where Swizzy was headed. He wants to make it to the vending, the patch-ups, the pizza. It's the perfect recipe for success here right now. Vico is hunting. Malabuka is hoping that they find it, but it's no good. Swizzy and Pixie, they have really seemed to have found a lot of momentum here today at Takata, and this Victory Royale should push them into that top 20 position.
47th place going into today, and now I want to see where that is. Rank 11 Mini, what a match.
This is the duo we were looking to in the pre-show. We knew that they needed to have at least 5 fantastic endgames to be in with a shot of making it to LAN, but now Mini Miner, it's looking like top 10 could become a reality.
What a performance from these guys today. This is just yesterday. Not only are they making those end games consistently now, not only have they fixed their spawn, now they've found the winning formula here as well. And what a lovely clutch there at the end from Swizzy to make it happen with the vending machine. I always like little plays like that, doing something a little bit different. But wow, this is a huge comeback. And I was saying in the back, if this is to be like a top 5 maybe for this team, is this maybe the best FNCS Grand Finals comeback ever? I can't think of a better one.
Well, one of the better ones, right? I remember Andalex had a really crazy one way back in the day that people always go on about. At the end of the day, Takata said they were 47th yesterday. So far today, they've been the #1 team, right? They've accrued the most points, or tied at least with Shawful and Repairs as far as day 2 is concerned. And the reality is that is the type of turnaround they needed to have with how terribly things were looking for them as far as summer qualification goes. And it's good to see, you know, both of them sort of, you know, have their impact on this game. Swizzy at the end holding down the 4. Pixie, I know a lot of people are looking at Pixie's numbers so far in the tournament and wondering when he's going to start to show us the Pixie we saw a lot of last year. And so it was good to see him again have a couple of eliminations alongside Swizzy. These guys are heating up, and they're going to continue to rise in these standings.
Well, these are 2 of the best players we've ever seen on LAN as well. So everyone who's watching, we want these guys in the top 20, and we'll see if they can sustain. They just need a couple of really banging end games to make it. So let's head to a break. We'll see you in a few. We are about to enter the final quarter of the Major 1 finals in Europe, and it might not be all change at the very top of the leaderboard, but things are starting to shuffle around in that top 20, and that's where our eyes have to be on because of qualification for the Major 1 Summit in Düsseldorf. So if you look to the big names on the board, Dharm and Demons, they did not have a great start yesterday, but a few great early games has managed to take them into top 10 contention, and you can see there in 16th, Swizzy and Pixie, after that victory royale, they are now in contention. We could be seeing them on LAN, which we didn't expect yesterday.
Really big from these guys. It's actually nice not to have to scroll down all the way on the leaderboard to be able to see them. We only need to. We might not have to after this next game. Who knows? But yeah, really nice to see these guys rising up the standings. We all knew it was potential. We all knew they had the potential for it. It was almost like, a what the heck yesterday? What's going on here? Really shocking. They fixed a lot of their mistakes and, of course, now found that winning formula as well. Really happy for these guys. And actually, hopefully they'll make LAN because they're a team that you want to see on LAN and you know they're going to perform.
Well, let's take another look at the leaderboard, because that was surely a focus in Thomas Zone. They've been asking for this. They've surely been sending nice messages to Zeke, and yet they are in 4th now. They've actually been overtaken by Shawfall and Repairs, who are my favourite revelation of Day 2 level.
Yeah, again, we keep talking about them, but because they keep on surprising us, not the best of their games so far today, right? A 10th place, you know, a bit more quiet in comparison, but they still showcase part of why, again, they are going to be a threat in this lobby, and that is they can still make it to these end games, they can still get deep into them and get enough placement points to just keep them ticking along in that top 5. And in this case, because of, you know, Focus and Thomas probably having one of their worst games of the weekend, they are even able to move up a spot as well. So really impressed by these guys still.
Yeah, we haven't really seen them in this position before, right? This is a completely new situation for them to be in terms of the leaderboard. So excited to see what they can actually do under these circumstances. 3 more games left for them. That was a little bit more favorable zone for them as well. A little bit further south, we saw it end there, and of course Battlewood Boulevard. So, you know, it's kind of answered a couple of our questions about maybe this is a zone thing, because even for Thomas HD, a little bit closer, worse performance. Ooh, what's that going to mean for the rest of the games? Who knows?
Guys, I hate to be so dramatic, but that was a terrible game for Sky and Scroll. They only got 8th mini minor.
Oh, it's just not good enough, is it, really? Pack it in, pack it in. No, it's nice. It's good to see these guys still performing well, even when they're not doing what we... A consistent endgame. I feel like we could sort of cookie cutter every single time we come out of one of these games and talk about them. Nicely done from these guys again. Nicely done on these pre-edits as well. It's nice to see teams still using those to their advantage. And a favourable zone for them, 11, with the fact that it pulled right towards Battlewood Boulevard answers that question of what happens if they do get more favourable zone. They're still popping off.
Yeah, these guys, I'm not worried about them at all, right? A top 5 is exactly what they've been doing all weekend long. They get another top 5 there. A bit unfortunate, right, with the overdrive, with how Swizzy and Pixie were so active. Sky ends up just getting beamed from above. Honestly, I was hoping he'd be able to even stay alive and maybe squeeze out a couple extra bits of placement. But this is the thing, it's a relentless tournament, because even with how good they are, they must be getting frustrated at the fact that Chino and Pablo just refuse to fall off, right? They refuse to allow this tournament to just pass them by, and so they continue to be a threat in this one. We questioned whether or not they'd be, able to continue these types of performances when Zone isn't pulling directly on their POI. They must have just shut everyone up there right now, because this was still the type of game we've been seeing from them all weekend long, Minnie.
Yeah, lovely to see. They're outperforming Sky and Scroll in that last game. That's exactly what they need to do, finding eliminations along the way as well, which is exactly what we know that they can do. And they just got to keep chipping away now. They can't get too ahead of themselves. They've got to keep chipping away, because we saw it yesterday. We saw Sky and Scroll did have a little bit of a wobble. It was their last game of the day yesterday. They are prone to it. They're not absolutely immune to having a bad game. So Chino and Pablo have got to just keep themselves calm, keep themselves in these end games, and keep finding these top 3s like they have been, because it's been really good so far.
And
yeah,
big ups to Chino there. Just because, you know, we all highlight, you know, how amazing Pablo is as a solo clutcher. Chino really pulling out some of his best stuff there, able to get a top 3 from that situation.
Yeah, 62 points difference between first and second right now. It really is another battle of the days. I feel like we're so used to them now in FNCS. But also, when you look at the numbers, average eliminations for Sky and Scroll, 4.89. Chino and Pablo, it's only 4.11. I say only. It's not much of a distance, 4.11. It's very similar when it comes to average placement as well. There is, like, not of a percentage. I'm very bad at maths, as you can tell. I should not be doing this on the broadcast. But basically, what I'm trying to say is it's a very slim difference between these two teams, and the next game could make all the difference. So let's head into game number 10 with Taco and Takata.
Thank you, Frankie. It must be difficult. Pablo Chino getting top 10 every single game today, and it's still not enough, but I also want to think back down to top 20. Putty Fishy now in 21st place. They've swapped again with Sharkantini. Well, Sharkantini swapped way higher up than they have, unfortunately, but they are where Sharkantini started off today in. We also have Noah Riley and Reason, a duo that I'd like to see at the Summit 1 LAN in Germany. Hopefully they can make something happen here. Even Chap Flixie are in 17th. Azat, Ifrozy. We've got so many of these big duos that are just right on that cutoff, and we're getting closer and closer, Taco, to the end.
Yeah, and right now it's all about what's going to happen next, because game 10 is ready to go. Like you'd already kind of alluded to there, Takata, we are seeing some of those slight movements, a little bit of shuffling in the leaderboard. Top 20, obviously always going to be the prize for every single one of these duos, but it's also more than that. Right now, we are looking for a Major 1 Victory Royale wielder, and I think it's only a matter of time before we have to decide between Sky Scroll, Pablo Chino. Before that, Pixie, Swizzy, just looking to wipe out Dark Dominion. They've been very aggressive up against Truly and Gonzo. So many people were so surprised at the way that this conversation had kind of gone yesterday. But Swizzy and Pixie, they have really just turned things around.
Gotta be careful though, Swizzy has been cracked. Pixie's gonna have to rack up his eliminations here. Good news is they are together. They got the initial knock, and Gonzo now gonna do what he can to bring Truly back. He should actually have time, so we'll see how this one closes out.
Just took Swizzy a couple more moments longer than what he would have liked, but Pixie's still able to open up with a separate angle here.
Oh.
Truly does take a big chunk, but it's just not good enough. Swizzy and Pixie might have taken them a couple moments longer, but they still managed to close things out. Ziffy and Jerdy, though, already looking to try and capitalize. They don't want to give Pixie and Swizzy an opportunity to sort of heal back up, but a couple seconds sooner, maybe that goes in Zippy's favor. Right now, though, that won't be the case. Nebs, Nathan, they have to do the same sort of 180. Those last couple of lobbies really working against him, and Nebs goes down. Nathan fighting for his life, but it is another wipeout here at Humble Hills. Xteri and Adapted are just absolutely ruining Nebs and Nathan's position on the leaderboard right now.
47th game 1 today. 48th, the second match, and then now once again off spawn. We're in game 10 out of 12, combining both days, and I mean, with just 2 matches left, I mean, Nebs and Nathan were 11th going into this, so they're still in qualifying range, but they were contenders, not only top 5, to be even top 3 or higher, and now they're just dropping lower and lower. But, I mean, once they make it off spawn, they have had some very incredible performances, so with 2 opportunities left, I'm hoping that they can make it happen.
It's unfortunately just seeming a little bit more like what would happen to them in some of those Div Cup finals during the offseason. You know, they get off to... They know how to be consistent. That's where it hurts with Nebs and Nathan. It's that they're obviously good players at holding their own and finding solid placements, but gotta make sure that you're doing it for every single lobby from this point out. Top 10, there's obviously some pretty big changes when it comes to the prize pool overall. It's not just the Axe of Champions that's up for grabs here, after all.
Pico Malabuca just 1 point behind Thomas HD and Focus now. At 374 going into the match. They had a very big game. Issue is, before that, they were struggling with Surge, so I mean, we'll see where the zone pulls. We'll see how they play it out. But they've been keeping up the pace.
Well, look, when you think about the point disparity between Pablo, Gino, Sky, Scroll, it's still within striking range. 62 points is what separates those two right now. But what I'm really wondering is whether Sky and Scroll can anticipate just being able to make the same plays they've been doing. No one's really bothered intervening with their usual surge base. Sky already, it's like second nature to him at this point. Take over this hill, just a little bit north of Battlewood Boulevard, and wait to see how many tanks you can collect after that. But Keto and Hydro probably able to see Skrull tossing out all of these essential items, heals, he's picking up. And what they're really waiting for is just that ambush, the sneak opportunities. They know that these two players are separated, and what I was going to ask Takata is, if you're Pablo Chino, do you play for big eliminations, or do you play to try and take Sky Skrull out early? Because I think that's the only way that we're going to see somebody overthrow them in first place. They've got to go down sooner than what they have been. Otherwise, they're going to make it into the top 10 every endgame.
We've seen it historically. We've seen it at lands. We've seen it on different regions. It's always risky to do a drop spot change, but that's not the only option. If you want to take out one of the top teams earlier on, they know the side of the map they drop at. They could take a fight. I think in terms of being on game 10, you don't make any of those risky changes yet. You play this match out, you see how it goes. I mean, they've made top 10 every game. Like you said, Sky Skrull have not only made top 10 every game as well. Yesterday, they held the consistency throughout the whole day. You kind of hope something changes here, but it is not the best position to be in, considering, you know, Pablo Chino won that #1 spot. You can see the exact point difference there at the top right. First and second, they are just leading the pack.
It's definitely pretty neck and neck between the top two right now on the leaderboard, but that's not to say we saw Sharkantini already have a crazy point jump off of just one Victory Royale placement. And that's the same thing that a duo like Thomas and Focus is going to have to replicate. They've had a really rough time with trying to pull things into their favor. They haven't done poorly throughout this weekend by any means. They have definitely been able to convert some solid endgame placement finishes. It's just, they're going to need more than that. It can't just be good. It has to be great every single time from this point on if they want to find themselves in a realistic conversation for bringing home the X champions.
Size and Scary have not matched their performance from yesterday. There's good news and bad news on this one. I mean, they've done so well in day one that they're still pretty comfortably in the qualifying range for the Summit 1 LAN, but they want more than that. They want to prove that they are a top team. And we've seen how quickly you could jump up the standings with big matches. Swizzy has done it. But Sias and Scary, we're going to need another pop-off match here today for them to come back.
That have been around the scene for a decent amount of time. They're not new to this, but at the same time, you could argue that they were definitely new to being one of the leading teams in a Major 1 Grand Finals leaderboard, Takata. And so how do you think that that's kind of impacted their performance here today? Because you would think, hey, maybe they can run it back, but that just has not been the case.
The thing is, they were playing incredibly well yesterday. They were playing incredibly confident, and I don't even think it was nerves. I don't think it was pressure. It was literally that one fight to kick off the day has kind of set the tone. The remainder of their matches, I'm not sure if it's a mental thing. I'm not sure what's causing them to struggle so much, but ever since the start of the day, it's just been downhill. I don't know. They need something big to kind of fuel themselves up again. Get that motivation, that confidence back from what we saw yesterday. But Kaido Haijo, they're going for the play. They're trying to catch Sky Skrull, our top team, off guard. Sky gets fully cracked now, down to 46 HP. Taco, this could be the change that we've been looking for the Major 1 Finals.
Oh, Kito's chasing, Haijo's chasing. They don't want to let Sky get away. He's trying to see where he can escape to. And just based off that red hand signal, he's heading straight deeper into the storm. Skrull trying to see if he can play catch up, but this is a tough position now. Kito and Haijo, how badly do you want it? because for Sky and Scroll, and this is definitely going to put a huge hiccup into their overall game strategy. They might be looking to see what else they could steal from inside of this Surge base, knowing that there's got to be some white heals possibly stuck left waiting, but no, Scroll! That
Where
was
did
the
the pizza
intent!
go?
He just stole everything. He took all of the white heals with him. And for Keto and Hydro, this is just completely blown up in their face. They needed to get that elimination. And just missing out is not going to put them in a position to where it might be difficult for them to even escape Battlewood Boulevard in the first place.
Yeah, the reverse heist from Scroll. Just taking the pizza, taking all the whites. Yeah, you can see it happen right here.
Splashes.
It was yeah, everything. They had medkit, splash, and pizza. He just threw it all. That's a little hiccup for Sky and Scroll, but I mean, to be fair, seeing that both players are still up, it should be a pretty easy regroup, and they can continue on forwards.
But now they're going to have to think about it for the rest of the lobbies if that's going to happen again. Teeny trying to see what else he can pop off with. Tweg, first elimination going to be confirmed here. Shark looking for the secondary one, and yeah, no problem whatsoever following up on his duo's aggression. So a good, solid couple of eliminations to kick things off here in Game 10, but now kind of trailing back on over Pablo Chino. We saw them sort of leaving Sandy Strip pretty early on, and they've made sure to head a little bit further north. They're in a box. Solid spot, though, for the time being.
Got a zone pulling more north here. I'm thinking of Chap and Flixie right now. They have been kind of dropped down to 17th place on the leaderboard. They're just on the cutoff. Hoping we see them later on have a solid match here. They've been given the opportunity. Pablo Chino, though, looking healthy, obviously, despite having to rotate a little further than usual.
Oh, man. It just keeps getting worse, though. Over by Battlewood Boulevard. Sky trying to make his way on over. Keto and Hydro punished very heavily for their failed execution of that sneak play onto Sky. The bigger problem now to contend with, though, is that Belugi and Zangi are just hanging out nearby, and that's going to make it so problematic for either of these duos to kind of leave the area. I just feel like the third-party opportunity is still so prevalent here right now as Keto trying to escape from Scroll, playing with a little bit of vengeance. Sky, too. Doesn't matter who gets the shots. Both of them clearly want to get this elimination, settle the score once and for all. I don't know if you consider it revenge, but either way, Sky and Scroll definitely happy. Yeah, that's a big point to defend, but for Zangi and Belusi, this is still a little bit awkward for Sky and Scroll because they could potentially be cut off here. The zone has pulled pretty far north, and so they've got a lot of time and ground to make up for. And unfortunately, teams that are already based in better positions, they might just catch them when they're a little bit closer to the outskirts of the edge zone.
Let's see if they can live up to the hype, though. I mean, we've seen Sky and Scroll play consistent, even when zones pull far. So they're going to have to prove themselves once again now when the gap has been closing more and more between first and second. I drop Marius. This is a team that's right outside of the cutoff in 22nd place. They do need a big match here. They want to make it to the Summit 1 LAN, but for that, they have to figure out the Storm Surge situation.
Doesn't have to look pretty. They just got to get it done. That's really all they're trying to defend right now is both of their namesakes. I drop Medius. A little bit of a tough position, though. They can get some good shots in here. They won't have to worry as much about that surge working against them, but Minori and Darkos, they are getting lobbied by everyone else. I drop to be able to help bring them just above that surge threshold, but they are still looking every which way to see where else they could possibly try and get some shots in. They're able to bring down Karama. That could be a really nice refresh for this duo. Their material count doesn't look bad, but again, Takata, it's just elimination points and potentially bringing yourself one placement closer where you need to be. Darko's going to be cleared up, though, by the lobby. Not really many other options when everybody is just looking at the one solo moving by.
Wondering what happened to Vico Malabuca. It's a very good zone for them. They're 76 below, struggling on mats, rotating late into the zone. Yeah, this is just not the situation we want to see them in, especially with how good of a recent performance they just had, getting second with 12 eliminations. This is a team, they're always shooting for first place. They have experience in finals, they have experience at LANs. And the Surge, being the first major finals we've had this net Surge, is just showing how much it affects everything.
Part of the problem, though, at least for this lobby for Vico and Malabuca, is just the fact that sometimes when you get these zone pulls, when you look to go and try and build your Surge off of set strategies, teams just aren't going to be where you'd originally kind of expected them to be at, right? Everybody's rotating a little bit differently. These big Surge bases, everybody marks so clearly from the elevation points, but Sky, Scroll, they've managed to come this far. They've made it into Wonky Land. Their build count looking a little bit scuffed here. They would definitely love a fight, definitely love a refresh. Thomas going to lose focus. Caught in a little bit of that congestion now, trying to see if he can elevate his position, avoid some of the commotion underneath, but Sky, Scroll, they got exactly what they were after. They're going to take down Thomas HD, and they'll be forced to sit and wait to see what Game 11 has in store. But the Danes just continuing to extend their position on the leaderboard.
I feel bad for Thomas and Focus. You got Sky and Scroll on one side, Swizzy, Pixie on the other. Really just not what you want to see going into the zone. Still got 2 more matches. Clean it up, though. Sky and Scroll, Swizzy, Pixie. They've set themselves up. Beamish and Darm as well managed to bump themselves up to 7th. But what I got my eyes on is if Chino and Pablo are going to be able to close the gap in this match.
I don't know, the way that Beamish and Darm were moving just then, it looked like they were very interested in the fight that was taking place with Reason, O'Reilly, a couple of other teams. Definitely wanting to get a bit more aggressive here. Hanging out towards that front side, but Shark, Teeny, same intentions. 889 above currently on the Surge damage threshold. And with the way the zone is pulled, Iksovsky, no chance. Sent rolling down, Cliffface. He'll be eaten alive by the rest of the lobby, but Vico, Malabuca, Huddy, all trapped amongst each other. Vico at least trying to see if he can net these 4 elimination points. He's got the knock. Malabuca waiting to see if he can confirm the finish, and sure enough, Vico and Malabuca, while they found some additional points here, they're still below on the Surge threshold, and they're not going to have that chance to recover, at least not as a team. Vico, left by his lonesome, does bring down F9. A little bit of Siphon, going to pay huge dividends here for Vico. Big refresh on materials too, but the lobby is looking in, and it's looking to take down Vico. He doesn't get the chance to even break into that edge of zone. Cleaned up by the rest of the lobbies. Twy, Cringe, overtake now from height.
Take a quick look at what Chino's been up to. They were below going into this end game, but all it's going to take are a few good shots connecting, and it could be enough. Twy up above could be a potential very good zone for them. It pulls back over to that hill, currently sitting in 9th, but for Swizzy and Pixie, they've already proved themselves throughout the day. We were close to having a devastating kind of land in the sense that our global championship trio, almost all of them, could have not made it. But the job isn't done for Swizzy and Pixie yet. They are still in 16th place going into this match, despite all the solid performances. One more good one, though, could help them solidify it. But Shark and Teeny, they also are looking for the win.
They want to go up. Cheatin' and Giannis might have beat them to it. One fun part about whenever the zones pull into this forest territory of Old Stumpy is that players can just connect right onto the treetops themselves. And Cheatin', Giannis, the overhead view currently, eagle-eye vision. They've got to make sure that they are keeping tabs on where secondary height is at, especially when it's a duo like Shark and Teeny, just waiting for the perfect time to strike. Gonna continue targeting underneath, but they'll opt to drop. A mild layer swap. Still hanging out towards front side of zone. Chino, Pablo, a little bit more of that backside position. Kind of wrapping around Might have the sneak jump. Hunt to Mumsy and Sky Jump, trying to break in. Pickaxe through, it's good. Chino gets the first. Pablo helps him get the second. Sky Jump and Mumsy just never stood a chance here as they continue marking their way forward.
Perfect couple of eliminations. It was a duo that was looking healthy as well. Sharktini, though, it's their time to strike. Now looking for not only the height, but also a couple of eliminations alongside it. Yanis Cheatin put into panic as Cheatin is down to just a sliver of HP. Yanis left them alone as now Sharktini have control.
But everything is just so open-ended right now. Sky, he's gonna have to get the job done all by himself here. Currently, ultimate low, but he is just so far away from where Hyde is currently positioned. Still trying to make sure that his position isn't too heavily revealed, but it's just not good enough. Loses a big chunk of his HP. Has to use up his last couple of pizza slices even. Overdrive grenade effects at least gonna help him. But without any materials left to work with, he's got to connect with a big pump shot. He has to find it now, at least get a little goodie bag out of Giannis's loot. But still, more problems pouring in here. Sky, only so many places left to run. Looking back now, gets cringe in the process though. That's gonna be his fourth. And the eliminations just underneath them though. Pablo, Chino, they've scouted out this solo. Don't know if they realize that it's Sky just yet, but Sky scrambling, trying to avoid them. It doesn't matter how, when, or why, as long as he can stay alive. Just a couple placements further. Medius not gonna be brought down just yet, but Sky finally cut short there by Shakos, and that just leaves Pablo and Chino to play catch up here from Ultimate Low.
It was actually Chino who took down Scroll, so they know this is the chance to make something happen, but they cannot let it go to waste. Pablo goes down, Chino's left alone. He has more than enough loot, but the issue is, how's he gonna make it back? Swizzy, Pixie, on the other hand, both players healthy, looking to control low, but the pressure from height, it might just be too much. Pablo gets finished now. Chino has to find his rotate in.
But this is the recovery tour of a lifetime right now for Swizzy and Pixie. Chino still deep inside of the storm, but he's gonna take down Medius, waiting for that siphon to kick in. He needs it now more than ever. Stuck as a solo in the backside of the zone, and Sharkantini from way overhead, still applying so much pressure onto all these teams underneath. iDrop forced to just try and drop down to ultimate low here, but he might just drop straight into where Swizzy and Pixie are at. They're going for the top. Shark's gonna be the first one to the punch though. He brings down Swizzy. Now it's just Pixie left for the solo clutch scenario, but Sharktini, once they get rolling, they don't seem to stop. Pixie has height, but it's only temporary. He'll be forced to drop eventually. Teeny, Shark though, low on materials, trying to get the chop. It's the 1 versus 2. They're looking for their second victory royale, and they find it, no problem whatsoever. It's a different day for Shark and Teeny.
It is night and day comparing to yesterday, going into today in 21st. I don't even know where they're gonna be on the leaderboard after the second win of the day. The expectations have been met. This is the Shark and Teeny that we wanted to see. Desk, how are we feeling?
I'm feeling electrified now. Teeny has to have such a strong faith now in this duo, not only making it to LAN, obviously they're going to make it to LAN, but also performing on LAN. He's teamed up with the most talked about player, arguably, in Chapter 7, at least in the European side of things, Levin. And now we're getting to see Shark really perform in a final.
It is great to see these guys have the day 2 resurgence, right? We've seen a lot of players have a bit of a day 2 resurgence, but I think this one in particular will inspire people. Because after day 1, I think a lot of people were looking at Shark and Teeny and saying, hey, these boys, man, their chain might be fake. I don't know if we can rate them how we really been rating them this season. And today has shown that no, these guys are 2 of the most talented players. They do have the ability in some of the most difficult lobbies to deliver and to perform. And again, regardless of what happens now as far as where they end in the leaderboard, as long as they qualify for Summit, I think they will continue to remain a team that people expect to do big things.
Yeah, absolutely. It's sort of the same as what I said for Swizzy and Pixie earlier on. The best teams come back strong on day 2. They look back at where things went wrong, particularly if they had a bad day 1. And this is a prime example of that for Shark and Teeny right now. The way that they took height here was really nice as well. They were sort of sneaking up on Janice and Cheated, and they did a really nice play to sort of force them down. And once they're in this position, there's just only one way the game is ending. The way that Teeny knows, he has that experience. He knows when to go down, when to stay up. He knows how to play these end game situations, and even this at the end. Lovely shot. I think it was from Shark, actually. Yeah, look at that. That's beautiful stuff. And I think that should get them inside of that top 5, which is very, very surprising for me, because going into this weekend, I didn't think they would do it because of their Osborne situation.
I'm wondering with this duo and some of the others we're now starting to see step up on day 2 very quickly, 11. I'm probably wrong on this, but I feel like in the heats, obviously these duos, they're playing for consistency. Obviously it's great to get victory royale, but really what they're trying to do is just make sure they hit their benchmarks in those 5 games. Now that we have got 12 games on our hands, we're starting to see these teams adjust to a different way of playing Fortnite, and maybe that's one of the reasons that day 2 is a different side for example, the likes of Shark and Teeny Swizzy Pixie.
I mean, there's always, in every Grands we've ever watched, there's always a big difference, I think, between how day 2 plays and how day 1 plays, as people look to adjust and learn from the mistakes of the first day.
Yeah, let's head to a break. When we come back, let's talk about some of the other big names on the leaderboard.
Watch me